What's the most typical thing you see with these men that join your coaching or your mastermind group? Where do you see them struggling the most? Just out of curiosity, where's their biggest kind of holdups that you see across the board?
It takes decades to achieve a financial goal, right? It takes decades to achieve an entrepreneurial goal. And it's not until sometimes we achieve something that we realize it wasn't what was going to fulfill us. And so it's kind of at that midlife crisis point where they're like, I don't know where to go next.
You know, so many great hacks and so forth, Elise. Well, hello, this is Vinney Chopra and Beau Eckstein. As you know, we are putting this crush2024.com. If you have not registered yet and somebody sent you this reel or some video, please go ahead and register so that you could get these, and they are all archived also on Go High Level, which is another great platform, and you could see all the video clips you might have missed. So we are dropping 31 of those in the whole month of January, one a day. And we also had a live show at January 1st, and you could see the panel and everything. Thank you so much for joining. We got great guests today here with us. Elise Michaels is in the house. She's got a great following on YouTube, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Instagram. Great personality. She just got back after 5 countries tour. Hi, Elise. How are you?
Hey, Vinney. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. As we met also in Orlando. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to meet you there. You are a coach. You are able to really change the mind and subconscious. You will probably do much better job of men. So you are really predominantly helping entrepreneurs to really live their life with passion, with fullness, with happiness. And so take it away. What do you do?
Yeah, so I do my best to help men find purpose and passion again by healing their subconscious trauma. As I'm sure you know, a lot of men, especially entrepreneurs, they kind of lose themselves in the day-to-day activities of life and what society tells them they should be as a man. So when you start to lose yourself, you start to lose the enjoyment of life and kind of like what you're here for. So I help them get back to center so they can find that purpose and happiness again.
And we all need that.
We all need it. I know. The purpose in life is so important, to be passionate every day. So take us into, step 1, 2, and 3. How do people really see? Men are really biggest creatures of hiding things, right? From the family, from spouse and things. And, we are stressed out financially, mentally, business-wise. Then it just starts eating yourself, right? So take us there. How we get into that rhythm of not really reflecting outside how we are feeling inside.
Yeah. So, when men come to me, usually they're at a rock bottom as far as their mental health goes. So they're ready to address those issues. I think at certain points, we have to first accept that something is going on that's making us feel off balance. And you have to be willing to dive into emotions or willing to dive into mental health. Once you do that, then you're able to start to understand and separate your identity from your work, or your identity from who you are as a father, your identity from how many material possessions you own. So you have to be willing, you have to start separating your identity. And then we start understanding, okay, who am I? And what does it actually mean to be a man from my perspective? And you build that up from core values and morals as opposed to outside labels, material objects, things that are always changing. Because then your happiness always stays stable instead of relying on external factors.
What's the most typical thing you see with these men that join your coaching or your mastermind group? Where do you see them struggling the most? Just out of curiosity, where's their biggest kind of holdups that you see across the board?
Well, a lot of men struggle with relationships, to be honest. No matter how successful I see them get, usually their biggest struggle is always relationships, because it forces them to look at parts of themselves that they'd never had to work on before and that society has denied for them. So things like emotional availability, emotional health, conflict resolution, healthy communication. So they kind of have to face all that, and that's what they really struggle with.
Wow, wow. So let's find out then, I'm just thinking it has a lot to do with their growing up also, right? The peer pressures, the peer, all these things come to my mind, how we shape up, and then the core value system as they enter the business world, their self-worth and self-actualization and self-confidence. Throw some light on that. I mean, there's so much to be, look at all happening now in the social media. People want to taunt and people start comparing themselves. What I'm not really focusing on who I am and how well I've accomplished what I've done. But they're always looking why I'm not done that, half full and half, empty.
100%. You're completely right. And most men are taught that in order to be a man, you have to be super successful, super wealthy. You have to support the family, but they're never actually taught, what true wealth is. They're never actually taught what it means to keep a family or to actually be a family man. So once they achieve all of these materialistic things or they achieve the career, suddenly they're not as happy as the guy on social media, because the guy on social media was also faking it because he goes home and he's not happy. And they're like, I thought I did everything right, so why do I not feel okay?
Mm-hmm. So dig deeper into that. Yeah, go ahead, Beau. Bruh.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I know personally speaking, I didn't get married till I was in my 40s. And so I was a bachelor all this time and I just did whatever I wanted. I didn't have to, I was very selfish. And now being married for it's been 4 years, I've had to like change and just kind of like put myself in my wife's shoes. The difficult thing is I lock myself in a home office and I'm grinding on the, sales and this and that. And then I come downstairs for our lunch and it's like, I'm still stuck in my business. And it's like, I know like sometimes I'll be catching myself looking at the phone, you know what I'm saying, for lunch and not really diving into a deep conversation with my wife. So it's like, I know for me, that's kind of a struggle because I'm always just kind of in that hustle mode and to just, be able to like detach. And because of the phone and everything, it makes you more of a stressed individual, especially if like, I'm closing, I do finance for a living. So I'm closing people buying businesses and things and people need it now. And I do French, so everything is like an urgency. And I got to learn how to like be able to relax and just really like a doctor, like, why am I so accessible? I don't want to be accessible all the time, right? I can't just call my doctor. I have to book a time to talk to him. So I'm really working on that, but I do struggle, I would say, with the fact that like when I never turn it off, and that's tough to do. Right. And then you're always like, well, I need to get bigger. I'm not hitting my goals and I'm really not focused on a lot of the things that really matter. And this is kind of where our conversation is. Like, this is a big thing, especially with guys that are driven. It doesn't mean we're fulfilled necessarily because we're driven and we always want more. We want more. We want to, like, we're comparing ourselves. Oh, I got to get net worth like Vinney. I got to, right? Like all these things. And then now you're in mid 40s and you're like, man, I didn't get to where I thought I'd be way, way farther ahead. Right. I think that for driven people, I see that kind of with some of my like peers and friends in their 30s, 40s, it's that kind of like, we're in that mode we have to achieve. And then I see people that didn't really achieve financials, but they're a lot more satisfied with their lives. It's an interesting dynamic.
Right. So it all boils down to what you want, right? Because the perceived sense of urgency, you work in finance, but you're not a doctor. So where is the actual urgency coming from? No one is going to die if they wait 30 more minutes for you to be present with your wife, right? So this is like a perception that we need to change, because also, like you say, you're constantly hustling. You can never shut it off. Well, then I would ask, what are you hustling for? Like, what are you hustling for? Alex Hormozy had a great point when he said, even if I build a legacy, everybody talks about a legacy, 10,000 years from now, my entire family bloodline is going to be erased. Like 3 generations from now, no one's going to remember me. No one's going to remember any kids that I might have or their grandkids. So like, what is the purpose of a hustle if it's robbing you of your presence right now?
Right. That's totally, yeah.
It puts things in perspective. Say that again. I mean, at least you said something very special. I think people are so focused in this lifetime. I want to leave a legacy, but once you're gone, reincarnated in Indian culture, whatever. But the thing is, who's going to remember? So you hit something very, very, very good. I think a lot of time we try to have that picture is not the real good picture for us. You come across men like that. I'm sure a lot of us are in that rhythm. We want to take care of family, take care of children. And I know there is a Die with Zero, right? That book, I think, Beau, you shared that book with me and I've been listening and all. Oh, no, you didn't. Somebody
It
did.
wasn't me.
Die with Zero. Talks about is that leave some money behind, at least, but enjoy the moments, make the memories with your family, your all the relationships right now while you're alive, you know because those are the things that they're going to cherish more after you're gone. Money, whatever we leave behind, who's going to spend? I mean, we can do trusts and things like that, right? But how the kids will spend the money or the heritage will be spent will be gone. I mean, we won't know anything about it. So do you come across that in your line of work and dig deeper into that as people are watching us or listening to us? What 4 things or 5 things come to your mind to really get their mind set right to enjoy the process?
Right. Well, it's asking questions like that, because like what is a legacy, right? And if you really dive deep into what most people actually feel like legacy is, like they don't think this way, but really what it is, it's your ego tied to your identity of, I need to be important enough so people don't forget me. I need to leave something behind so I'm not forgotten. So it's actually not for the purpose of providing for future generations as much as it is to hold up some sort of ego that we just don't want to be forgotten. And what that says to me is you feel forgotten in your everyday life. And I think the more that you're running towards something, it's actually you're running away from something, which is the present, right? Because if you can't be present in your present moment, and you're chasing some type of future, hustling to get something in the future, like what is the actual reward? Like how do you know when you'll get there? So you have to start being realistic about some things. Yes, we should work hard to provide for our current selves and for any future children or whatever that we might have. But Vinney, you have many, 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 many properties, many businesses. And from what I've seen is you're always fairly present. You're always fairly happy, so you can still be very successful and have a lot of businesses and have a lot of things going on, but be present at the same time. I don't think you're running away from everything. I think you're very present, and your presence is what makes you so successful.
No, you said it right. I'm so glad. Today I'm in the office. Usually we are doing these things somewhere else. But I really believe that what you said is so right, Elise. I look at this. This is the hourglass, of course, but this is the future. And the future is coming through the present right over here. And then this is the past. And I really try to keep myself in the moment, because from moment to moment, compartmentalizing and making sure that when you are giving yourself, like Walter and I did that show this morning, right? It went live and a lot of people interacted and so forth. The key thing is whenever you are doing certain things with family, with relationships, with whatever, let's be right here. That's what you're saying. In the present, this future, we can be, ego is tied over here, I think. A lot more ego. We want to make our name, face, this, legacy. But let's just be right person over here. Then the past is the one we should not live into. I mean, we should just learn from the past, but then drop the past, but just concentrate on this one. So say more on that. Yeah. Say.
Well, let me ask something here. Vinney, were you this way when you were in your 40s?
No.
Or 30s?
No. No.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've been a goal driven guy, but I think as I get younger and younger, I always say that. I've been married 43 years, and I've been saying that daddy's getting 1 year younger every year, every year. So I feel like right now at 71, I'm 17, literally. My excitement, my enthusiasm, my positive attitude, and all that. Bo, you know me for about 10 years now. The key thing is it's all in the mindset. And a lot of people say, Vinny, can I, change the mindset? Yes, definitely. There are so many books. There is so much videos, but you got to work at it, right? You got to work at it. You cannot just be positive one day overnight, but slowly, slowly, slowly reading Norman Vincent Peale's books and, Dale Carnegie's books and all that. So it's, Bo, you asked me a question. Was it like that? No. I mean, I have a very humble background, very, very limited, actually, humble beginnings. But the thing is, when you make up your mind that you want to grow and you want to do this, you want to do that, that's why 71, I'm ready to take on new things, new initiatives in 2024 and use everything there is we got in AI, artificial intelligence, cloud defense, securities, this, that, all these different avenues, and maybe buying some more things with Bo and doing the strategic funds and all those things. So it's excitable if you are able to take it to a next level. You should always be thinking how we could stimulate our mind, I guess is the thing.
Well, so I have a question here. So, uh, I have to almost set the stage for me to be like to get the most out of my day. So, and I don't do it all the time, but like for example, on Fridays I do a podcast with Vinney, and we hype each other up, and I'm on a high, right? And days I don't. So like when I get around certain people, I feel their energy, and like I can take myself to a higher level that way. Or if I have a coaching call with my coach Phil, or right, like I can work things out. And so what can we do to get us in that stage early on in the day, so our days are always that good vibe, right? Like that. I used to go to a lot of events, and I used to love it. Not to learn anything, because you pretty much learn once you like. I go for the networking. I love to meet new people. Then COVID happened, and I started working out of my house, and I still do. So I don't have that. I have the Zoom interaction, but I don't have like I love going and meeting people, and I think that's kind of one thing that I'm missing. But also I know if setting the stage in the morning is very important, like rituals and things, and in your coaching and mastermind groups. What where do the gentlemen that you're mentoring, where do you have them start their days typically?
So the first thing I always tell any one-on-one client is there's a difference between mind work and body work. But the body stores memories just like the mind does. So a lot of trauma is stored in the body. And if you don't understand that, then you can tell yourself, oh, I'm going to be positive today. I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to be full of energy today, as many times as you want. But if there's some environmental reminder or some habitual thing that your body remembers, that will tell you how to feel, and that will override your thoughts on it. So the first thing that I always tell my clients to do is do body work the first 10 to 15 minutes of the day, where you are partaking in, and it can be any of the things like yoga, breath work, meditation, journaling, anything that calms down your nervous system. It's just, once again, being very present in your body and making sure your body is relaxed. Because what you might not understand is that when you're talking to people who have very good energy, is they might be actually energetically just relaxing you or helping you relax or helping you feel safe. So you think it's all a mental thing, like, oh, they just have like really good energy and they're talking positive, which they might be. However, they might also be helping you relax. So if you can get into a very relaxed state, you can start to train yourself to be in that energy all the time.
Let me quick stop here. Every day I wake up, I go to the gym. Most of the time I'm lifting weights very aggressively. So probably I come into the workday kind of pumped up and in a state of like, because I have a little caffeine, right? I'm all jolted out. And maybe that's a perfect time to take 20 minutes to journal before I start my day to get me into a more of a flow state, right? Because I'm starting that day and I'm like antsy because, like when you have caffeine and you just did a hard workout, you have the jitters. And I think that what you just brought up kind of resonates with what my thought process is that I'm just going in 1,000 miles an hour and I'm feeling anxiety because of that, versus I come in and I spend 20 or 30 minutes writing or journaling and doing something peaceful that I can get my ideas out for the day, versus going in and going, let me check emails. Let me see what fires I need to put out. And then I'll have maybe my day would be start out with a better flow.
Right. And you've also trained yourself now, because from what you've just said, you've trained yourself now to feel like after I get done with my workout, I'm going to be jittery. After I get done with my workout, there's going to be fires I need to put out. So you've already habitually associated the end of a workout with a stressful morning. So these are just different things that, like, it's little things that you would never notice and you never think about that make a huge difference. If you start to train yourself to be like, okay, at the end of my workout, I get to have me time and focus for the day. I get to plan stuff out. I get to calm down my nervous system, and I get to channel all this jittery, anxious energy into a flow state. You can really channel it in your body. I'm not a huge lover of caffeine. I definitely don't like the jitters. So if you can also take care of your body that way, because your body naturally gets those endorphins from working out, and you'll be good to go. I mean, working out, you really take care of yourself that way. So if you can just focus that energy, you'll be like, you'll change your whole life.
Excellent. Excellent. No, what you're saying is so right. The more we are balanced or calm and nervous system, what you're talking about, not just mental, but body. I love that. Body, soul, and mind, right? All three together. Of course, the big thing is that when the stresses hit us, that's when we get into spiral down, right? So what would you say to those people if something really bad happened to them during the day? How would you treat that if somebody calls you up, right? At least say, help me, something really happened. What would you suggest or coach them to do?
Right. Well, it's actually the same process because the body responds in the same way. First, if you do this routine where every single morning you're calming down your nervous system, it's going to be at a much lower state, so that if you do get a stressful call, you're not going to respond to it the same. Because if you're up here and you're stressed during the day and then someone gives you a call, you're going to be up here. But if you're down here, you're like, oh, okay, you'll be able to handle it much better. But if somebody calls you, they're really stressed or there is a huge fire to put out, it's the same process. Immediately, if you can, go. And it takes a practice, like you said, Vinney. Everything is a practice. Bring your attention back to your body. Create awareness. Where am I starting to hunch over? Where am I starting to sweat? Where am I starting to clench my jaw? And intentionally relax. Because if you can calm down your nervous system when you're not in danger, then you're going to be able to get your mind right to actually figure out what's next. Because being in anxiety, being in stress never actually helps you solve the problem. So it's much better to train yourself to calm down quicker from stressful events than it is to lean into the stress like we usually do.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I know I always have mentioned that, don't get overly excited when so much happiness is coming in business, life, blah, blah, blah. Be balanced. And when the stresses come or bad things happen, don't get utterly depressed. So overly excited but keep that balance, which I hear from you, Elise. That's so wonderful. I think it's so great that, people watching us and listening to us, if you are already doing that, do that miracle morning. I know Hal Elrod wrote that book, Miracle Morning. And then with Dave Asprn, they wrote another book now, Miracle Morning Millionaires. Great 2 books. And that has helped me a lot. In the morning, I have my routine and do the yoga, the chanting and other stuff, listening, powerful, then, exercising and then walking every day walk also calms down.
Well, yeah, I was just going to ask Elise, what age typically do they come to you? Are they 30, 40s, 50s? Like, where do you see the most? Like, I would assume that the 20 to 35-year-olds would never, they're probably least likely. I think maybe the 40s to 50s are probably the ones that start realizing, like, look, I'm getting older. I think that's a realization. I'm curious what age group really kind of hones your avatars that come to you.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. It's like late 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah. that men have finally kind of, because it takes decades to achieve a financial goal, right? It takes decades to achieve an entrepreneurial goal. And it's not until sometimes we achieve something that we realize it wasn't what was going to fulfill us. And so it's kind of at that midlife crisis point where they're like, I don't know where to go next. And I actually explain it's like a mountain theory that I have, where when you're a young gentleman, you have this goal, and the goal is like the top of the mountain. It's your Mount Everest, and you do everything you can for decades to try to climb that. And as you climb a mountain, the view gets better and better and better until you get like really close to the top. And then your mind perceives, okay, I'm like 2 feet from the top. The view's not going to get that much better from here. And then you kind of freak out because, oh my God, I spent my whole life climbing this mountain. Now what do I do? And it's kind of like this existential crisis. So what I do in coaching is help them build a new mountain and realize that their identity is not based off of them, you know, achieving that goal in the first place. So yeah, you totally nailed it with the age group there.
Marvelous, marvelous. You know, so many great hacks and so forth, Elise, and, you know, we'd love to continue. How can people reach you? And thanks so much for coming to the studio and recording this.
Of course. I mean, I'm anywhere on social media, just like you mentioned, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Elise Michaels, spelled Micheals, or else you'll find a lady who does marketing. That's not me. If you find that lady, you found the wrong lady.
Thank you so much, Elise. It's such a pleasure. I hope I'll meet you again in October or
Yeah,
November.
we have to at some point.
No, that's fantastic. And, you know, maybe we'll do some other shows together too. You know, if there are some opportunities where Beau and I can help your community, let us know, you know, and vice versa.
I can be a guinea pig.
I love that, Beau.
You know what?
That'll be amazing. Yeah.
Do you want to join my men's group?
I actually probably like it a lot. But yeah, I think it's all like self-discovery, and when men are in their 30s, we're invincible. Then you get into your 40s, and then you're like 40. I just turned 46, and you're like, oh, okay. Like then you have the sense of reality. Like, okay, like I am not a kid anymore, but I still think of myself as a kid, which is fine because Vinney does. But I also have to realize
one should be always a kid. I'm telling you, you
Yeah.
got to be a kid. I mean, you got to till you die, because you got to have that spunk in you, you know, and just go out and just do weird things. Why not?
All right, I'll do weird things. But that was great. I had a lot of fun, and I love interviewing people because then I ask questions that I want to learn. So it's kind of a selfish thing, but it's also good because you know you have realization of a lot of things. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you so much. If there's anything else I can do to help, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.